And another big story we're covering tonight, a break in a cold case almost 3 decades old.
A missing persons case from 1984 is now considered a homicide. Today, Amherst police announced they have new evidence in the disappearance of 14-year-old Nancy Skamura. News 4's Luke Moretti was at a morning news conference. He's here now with the latest. Luke?
Yeah, it's a major break in a case that has haunted detectives for nearly 3 decades. What happened to a 14-year-old girl seen in her neighborhood one minute, gone the next? Authorities say they now know what happened to 14-year-old Nancy Jo Skamura.
She was murdered, dismembered, decapitated, and disposed of.
The teenager disappeared from her Amherst home in July 1984. About 2 weeks later, a female torso was found several miles northeast of Oswego Harbor on Lake Ontario. Only recently, authorities say, DNA testing confirmed that the body recovered on Lake Ontario is that of Nancy Jo Skamura. Why did it take so long? For one, police say the methods used to identify an unknown person were missing.
She didn't have those features when we found her. What we found was a torso, and through that we were able to identify the fact that the victim was a female, but that was it.
Amherst police knew they had a missing person, and the Oswego County Sheriff's Office knew they had a homicide. But the connection didn't happen until investigators compared DNA from Skamura's family members with the DNA from the recovered torso.
There was no DNA at that point in time. The girl had no dental records or medical records. She had never been to a dentist in her life, and there was nothing to compare it against, even if there had been. There were no fingerprints on file.
Now, 28 years later, authorities have some answers. A case that had been a mystery for decades is now beginning to reveal some clues. They know for sure the Amherst teenager was murdered and disposed of. But how did she end up in Lake Ontario near Oswego County? And who committed such a brutal crime? Those are the questions they want answered.
We know there are people out there with information concerning Nancy's disappearance and murder.
The Oswego County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help. If you know anything about this case, you're asked to contact investigators at 888-349-3411, or you can email them with tips at helpnancy@oswegocounty.com. They say it may be something as simple as overhearing a conversation regarding Nancy. Anything at all, authorities want to hear from you. Luke Moretti, News 4.